If you want to see me create my first look with the Lise Watier Stardust palette, then stick around. Hi there, it's Hélène, and yes, we are going to play with the Lise Watier Stardust palette. It is her palette for 2019 holiday, and it is the same packaging if you're familiar with the Ciate Glitter Storm. Same kind of packaging, nice mirror right here, and the pans though are a lot bigger. And there are 9 pans as you can see here, and I asked if there were some specific colors that anyone wanted me to use, and I can tell you that the blue was requested in this palette, so I'm going to do a look that includes the blue. And I've wiped them off now, but I did have swatches on my hand trying to figure out what look I wanted, and I think I know what we're going to do. So to start off, I did do a base makeup look for my face so that I have some color coming on camera. So my brows are done, my foundation, bronzer, blush, and highlighter are done, and I just have lip gloss on my lips, and so the only thing that really needs to be done here is the eyeshadow, so let's go right in. I do want to tell you that for the eyes, I do have the Urban Decay Sin Primer Potion as a base, and I did set it with the Hoola Light from Benefit, and it just kind of looks like my eyes but just a little bit shinier. And I did want to use a primer, and I'm trying to finish this sample of the Urban Decay Sin, which is why I used a shiny primer today. I did try to sheer it out, and the Hoola bronzer as well kind of dampens down the shine, so hopefully it doesn't mess too much with what the Lise Watier shadows would look like. I am going to go, I think, with 2 colors today. I want to go with this purpley color right here and the blue that I mentioned. I may use something else, and of course this one for the brow bone. I may decide to use some other shadows, but for now, those are the 2 that I think are going to make the majority of the look. I expect I'm going to use 4 brushes today. I'm going to use a regular crease brush. I'm going to use my favorite angle brush. I'm also going to use more of a packer brush for the outer lid, and then a fluffy brush for the brow bone. We will see how that goes. So first off, we're going to go in with this crease brush, and I'm going to go right into this purple and get going to the crease, outer lid, and we'll see how far along elsewhere on the lid I go depending on what the color looks like on me. So let's give it a go. I'm going to work just on one eye for now. See how it picks up on the brush. Looks like it picked up okay. Let's see what it looks like. Okay, I don't mind that color at all. I'm going to pick up some more and keep going. I can feel the fallout. I'm starting to see it. The purple is kind of chunky, kind of tacky a little bit, and so it might be nice as a finger application shadow as well. Going relatively high up with it, and I'm just going to use this brush to buff it out a little bit at the top here. Okay, next I'm going to go in with my angle brush, and I'm going to go down onto the lower lash line, picking up product only on one side of the angle brush. All right, so I feel like I've got enough of the purple to basically define the eye. I think I need to use my finger just to smooth out a little bit. There's a harsh line here, and the brush does not seem to be able to dissipate that shadow. And it looks like my finger is doing a better job. So just a note there, it is a tacky shadow, and so possibly finger or sponge tip applicator might work a little bit better than a traditional brush. All right, I'm fine with it. I think it looks good. And this is a simple look. I mean, we're talking, so far, I think I'm only going to use 3 shadows. So we're going to go in and do the brow bone now with this guy. And I'm going to go in to this color, as I mentioned before. It's a very cream color. And that's helping to dissipate the shine a little bit close to the brow bone. So that worked out quite nicely, I think. Okay, so far, not a bad look at all. Now I'm going to bring in a 5th brush for the application of the blue because I'm going to go right into the inner corner in. And the bright blue is an interesting color because I think that it builds up nicely, but it can also look very sheer. So I'm thinking I can go light on the inner lid and build up to more intensity as I go over the center of the lid. We're going to try it and see what happens. Okay, I'm going to go in with my favorite detailed brush from Smashbox. It still has a little bit of glitter on it. Nothing a few flicks can't fix. Okay, so going into this blue with just one side. It's a 3-sided, so pyramidal brush. So I'm going in with the color just on the one side. Because I'm using a brush, I don't think it's going to put very much down, but I could be wrong. I've never used it before. Let's see. Yeah, it's a really light amount of blue, which is fine. That's what I'm looking for, so that's good. Okay, I'm going to go in with my finger now, and I'm going to go from center in and using less eyeshadow as I go in so that it's not as harsh on the inner lid. So I'm picking up some shadow, and let's see what happens. That's interesting. I got more intensity with the brush than I did with the finger, and I did not expect that. Okay, well, I am learning. It is a first impressions, so that's fine. So let me just pick up some more shadow with the brush here to finish up the inner lid. In order to get enough intensity on the inner lid, I'm going to see if I can use this packing brush and get more of the blue onto the center lid. That is so interesting to me because usually I use a finger to get more intensity and it's not really working with this palette. So brush lovers, you know that this palette is a very brush-friendly palette, at least from what I can see. Okay, let me just see if it smooths out a little bit with the finger once there's enough packed on with the brush. It might have stamped down the shadow a little bit, but I don't really see a difference here. Yeah, I don't see much of a difference here. I'm okay with the look. I'm okay with it. It doesn't wow me. It's not a look that has me super excited. I don't think it looks bad. I just don't have much of an opinion about it as far as it being great or really bad. I just think it's average. And maybe I'll feel differently once I have liners and mascara on, but right now, yeah, I don't really have an opinion. So I'm going to do the other eye similarly to how I did this one, of course faster now that I know what needs to be done. And let's talk afterwards about how I'm going to finish the look. Okay, I think that I have eyes that pretty much match. I think I went a little bit more on, this one. Just going to go over the brow bone one more time so that they hopefully match a little bit better. Okay, I'm going to wipe off the fallout. Hopefully it does a good job of coming off my face. Yeah, not too bad. Okay, so we definitely don't have a finished look, and I ended up bringing the blue much further out than I intended to. But here's what I'm finding is interesting with the blue and the purple, is that it just looks like it's a continuation, just a gradient change, and that is really nice. It almost looks like it goes blue to purple to kind of a more of a lilac-y lavender down here. So I don't mind it. I think it's a neat gradient, and I'm looking to see. Yeah, my eyes are pretty even as far as how the blue is set up. Now I want to do liner and mascara, and what I want to do is use these Watier liners. And I have 6 of them here. And let's see what will make sense for this look. I have a blue one called Marine or Marine. I think I want to use this one. And because of the purple, let's just see what they look like. I don't remember the swatches from a while ago. I think I'm going to use the purple, not the blue. I think the blue, in retrospect, the blue would have been a very nice base to use under the eyeshadow. It's very creamy, and I could have done that on the inner lid out. But I think that the only one I want to use is this one. And I'm going to use the Zero pencil from Urban Decay on upper waterline and following tightlining the lash line. And I'm going to use the Hypnose mascara. And for lips, I'm going to use the Iced Grape from Elizabeth Arden. It's a nice purpley plum color that I think will go well with the eyeshadow that we have on. I will do all of those things and be right back. All right, I am back, and what did I do? I applied the, what's it called, Prune Intense or Intense Plum on the lower lash line, and I think you can see it right there. Now the interesting thing is that this Intense Plum It looks very plum on the hand, and it does certainly along the lash line, but in order to put it on the lash line, you end up getting a little bit in the waterline, and it turns kind of red. It makes me think of Alkaline from Urban Decay. So I ended up putting the Zero from Urban Decay on the lower waterline as well to just get rid of that red. And I did put it, as I mentioned I would, on the upper waterline, and I do have it on the upper lash line, really tight lined, except for the outer half of the lid. I did smoke it out a little bit over a tiny bit of the blue and purple on the outer lid. I thought it was a nice effect because it is sort of an evening look, and I wanted to give it kind of an evening finishing touch. I also used the Hypnose mascara by Lancôme. And finally, as I said I would, I used the Iced Grape 36 from Elizabeth Arden. So that is the final look. I don't think I did anything else more or less. And so now my final thoughts on the palette. And I should say I really like the Lise Watier liners. They're really quite nice. No problem there. But the palette. I think this palette is not a standalone palette. What I desperately wanted later on in the look was a black matte to help deepen out the outer lid. And there really is not a shadow here that can act as a deepening shadow. There just isn't. Also, the blue surprised me a little bit because when I was doing finger swatches, I could get a light coverage and a deep coverage, and then on the eye, it did not perform that way. Had I known what I know now, I probably would have done a cream or silver inner lid, or and put the blue on the outside, or have done a halo eye with something brighter in the center, just so that it's not so just blue. I mean, it's not a bad look. I just think that knowing what I know now, I could have done better. I do think that there are a lot of beautiful shadows here. I will say I think they're going to hit hard pan quickly. This one seems to have a hard pan issue in the center already. But there are, I think, I mean, hard pan, take a piece of tape, put it on and pull, and you get the hard pan off. But I do really want to use some of the other shadows, and definitely either these two or these two I really do want to use, and I certainly like the idea of this one too. For example, this one on the inner lid and this one on the outer lid I think would have worked better than the combination that I chose today. I mean, it's a first impressions, and first impressions, the whole reason they're so interesting to watch is you watch someone learning about a palette and being able to tell you about it, and hopefully I've done that today. I do like the Brow Bone highlight. I think it's a very good color, and I think that it would be appropriate for somebody who's very fair to maybe on the edge of light to use it to set their eye primer. That's pretty much all I have to say. I'm not going to say the blue is a dud. I think I'm just saying that the blue is different from what I expected. So I need to play with this palette a few more times. I will definitely bring in a companion palette to help me with a future look. And there might be one other look that I can do on its own. Like if you're doing a wash of color on your eyelid and you're just kind of going from eyelashes and blowing it out and going lighter as you go, you may be able to just use one shadow in here and be done. It doesn't tend to be how I like to do eyeshadow, so it's a matter of personal preference. I really think that this is a companion palette, meaning you get one or two shadows here, but you complement with a palette of mattes, for example. I think that would be a really good pairing. Those are my thoughts after using this palette for all of one time, so take it for what that means. Thank you so much for watching this first impressions with the Stardust palette from Lise Watier. Let me know what you think of the palette in the comments. I would appreciate your feedback. I do look forward to seeing you in the next video. But for now, take care.